शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये. Om. Dear friends, welcome to the Geeta. We were seeing the 21st shloka of the third chapter, that is Karma Yoga. This Karma Yoga is now Krishna is telling about how an eminent person in a society, he has to do some exemplary work. He has to perform his duty in an exemplary manner so that he will be a good role model for all others. So that is what he was saying. Yadyad acharati shrestha, an eminent person, whatever he does, tat tadeva itaro janah, he becomes a role model and he is followed by all other people. And sa yat pramanam kurute, pramanam is standard, let us say. He establishes a certain standard. Whatever he does, it becomes the benchmark. Okay, he has performed this, that is the benchmark, and okay, we have to reach up to that. Sayat pramanam kurute lokaha tad anuvartate. All other people, they try to follow that. So that is what we were discussing. Sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. That is what we find everywhere, even in Mahabharata, in some other place, in Yaksha Prashnas. We know that there is an episode called Yaksha Prashna, where the Pandavas, they go to a particular lake, they take some water, and then all Pandavas except Dharmaraja, they die. And when Dharmaraja also goes, and when he tries to take some water, that Yaksha says, no, stop, you answer my questions, otherwise you will die. If you take water, you will die. So okay, Dharmaraja wants to, he then answers the questions. There is a discussion. So there is a question about dharma. Then the Dharmaraja says, dharma is something which is there in the heart of everybody. So the best course is to follow the best course is to follow some eminent people. Mahajano yena gatassa panthaha. Great people. Whatever the great people have done, it is better to follow them. So that is what he says. Tarko apratishtaha. Because the dharma is not something which can be decided by argumentation. Because somebody says this is great and somebody else comes and then he argues in a much better way and says, no, this is better. So tarkaha, there is no finality in this argumentation. Apratishtaha means there is no finality. And shrutayo vibhinnaha, and shrutis, scriptures, they tell about so many things. And naiko rushiryasya matam pramanam, and there is no one particular man who is the standard, whom you can take as a standard, because everybody comes and says, no, I am the representative of God. And every man says, I am the representative of God, then whom should you trust? Then dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. That is, dharma is something, the tattvam, the reality of dharma is something which is in your own conscience. And keep your conscience active, and by activating your conscience, you follow what the best people have done. Whatever the best people have done, you follow that. And of course, that also you have to see according to your conscience is the basic touchstone. And conscience being the touchstone, you have to evaluate what those people have done. Mahajano yena gatassa panthaha. So this is what Krishna is saying in this context also. Sa yat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Then Krishna, next few shlokas, from 22nd to 29, he is giving an example of himself. Krishna is saying, we should not say Krishna is boasting about him, because Krishna is, he deserves to talk about it. Suppose a great man talks about himself, he is not boasting. A great man, of course, he is only telling his experience to other people. We should not take it as boasting. So Krishna is saying, Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam vartayeva cha karmani. Hey Partha, na me Partha asti kartavyam. Means, hey Partha, na me asti kartavyam. There is no obligatory work for me. Kartavyam, same karyam, that is kartavyam. Or we know the word kartavyam. Kartavyam means something I have to do this, that is my obligatory duty. So there is nothing for him. Why? Because Krishna, we know that he is avatara. Avatara, we know that what is avatara? Avatarati. We are going to see what is the nature of avatara in 4th chapter. So shortly I can tell, avataranam means getting down. Avataranam, getting down from where? So that means that is the cosmic being, supposed to be somewhere in heaven or something. In that cosmic principle, it has taken a human shape and it has come down to this earth. So we say from that point of view, he has come down to earth, God has come down to earth. So from that point of view, that we say avataranam, avatar. And this avatara is not dependent on any karma phalam. In the case of you and me, our birth, your birth and my birth is because of some karma phala. We have done a particular action, and then so many karmas, they come together and then they cause this particular birth. In the case of God, how philosophers have explained is that because of the collective prayers of all the people, suppose there is some sort of dharma glani, there is some sort of attack on the dharma, there is some sort of stress on dharma. Dharma glani means dharma is under great stress and adharma is gaining ground. At that time, so there is what is called the strength of the collective prayers of mankind. All the collective prayers of mankind, they create a will, they create a sankalpa in the mind of the divine. All these collective prayers of mankind, they create a sort of, they create a cause, a sankalpa in the mind of Ishvara, and that cosmic intelligence or that cosmic being, he manifests in a particular body. That cosmic intelligence or cosmic being manifests in a particular body, and that is what is called avatar. So we can, in other words, we can say it is because of the collective punya of good people and because of the collective papam of bad people. In order to eliminate the collective papam of bad people and by virtue of the collective punya of some good people, the divine being, he appears in the form of a human being. You can apply to several people, not necessarily to Dashavatara, etc. You can see very great people, eminent people at very critical times in history. For example, we have got so many critical times. All the people like Krishna is one, not only Krishna, later we see so many saints in our tradition, maybe Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, all these great saints. And till recently, for example, people like Vivekananda. When dharma was under great stress, Vivekananda was a man who went and declared to the whole world about the greatness of our dharma. And prior to him, then some eminent people like Swami Dayananda were there. And Swami Dayananda's great contribution is that he brought Vedas down to the doorstep of everybody. That is, Vedas were no longer the prerogative, or no longer the property, or no longer belong to a particular section of the people. The Vedas, they were told to all people. Vedas were told to all the people, including women. And when we go to these Arya Samaj schools, you find so happy, you feel so happy, because even the women, they perform these Agnihotras and women chant mantras excellent manner, as good as our Veda Pandits. They are no way inferior to Veda Pandits. Not only women, all the people, they speak Sanskrit so well, they are so thorough with Rigveda, and they are so, not only Rigveda, all the Vedas and Vedic commentaries, they know Sanskrit much better than many other people. So Sage Dayananda, his contribution is, he brought all that knowledge to the common man. And he was one man who was trying to fight, or rather eliminate some of our internal fault lines, some of our own internal fault lines within the society. And what he was doing was for Loka Sangraha. Yesterday we were talking about Loka Sangraha. Loka Sangraha means bringing together, like Sangrahalai, Sangraha. Loka Sangraha means keeping the society together. And what Sage Dayananda was doing to keep the whole society together. Because unless all the people are included in this culture, suppose I say, okay, I belong to a very great culture, but then you don't belong to this great culture, you be away, then that gentleman will go to another culture. So say Dayananda wanted to prevent all that. He had a sort of inclusive approach. He brought all the people together and taught Vedas to all the people. So anyway, so such people, it may be Dayananda, and if you go to Western countries, for example, somebody like Abraham Lincoln, when there was total slavery and everybody was so happy with the slavery, Abraham Lincoln was a man who took initiative, and then he tried to eradicate that slavery, and for that he got killed also. And much later, people like Martin Luther King, people who suffered, and then by virtue of their suffering, they became ideal heroes for that entire society. So these are the people who are role models. These are the people who are shrestha, the people who have sacrificed. People who have not sacrificed, they cannot be great people. So yadyad acharati shrestha, no, here, name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana. So he is saying, there is no obligatory karma for me in all the three worlds, Trishu Lokeshu. Of course, he is saying this word Trishu Lokeshu means the three lokas. What are the three lokas? That is earth, and what is called Antariksha, and what is called heaven. Bhuhu Bhuvaha Suvaha. Bhur Bhuva Suvaha we say. Bhuhu means earth, Bhuvaha means that Antariksha, intermediate space, and the other thing is heaven. So these are broadly the three worlds. So why the three worlds means there are certain deities who are associated with Bhumi. There are certain deities who are associated with Antariksha like Vayu, Agni, etc. There are not Agni, Vayu and Varuna. And there are some deities who are also associated with heaven like Indra, etc. So these gods people do worship. So when Krishna says Name Parthasti Kartavyam Trishu Lokeshu Kinchana, he has nothing to do. He has no need to do all that worship, etc. But if you see Krishna, he is a man who went to that Sandipani as a student, as a young man. He went to that Sandipani's ashrama. He learnt Vedas. He underwent all this training in the Vedas. We know this because we see that Kuchela, that Upakhyanam of Kuchela, that old friend who is a very, very poor man who goes to Krishna to see and then seek some sort of help. So in that episode we come to know how Krishna and Kuchela along with some other people, they spent their life in their Gurukulam of that Sandipani. So Krishna, though he is an avatar and though there was no need for him, so he still went, he followed the dharma. He followed dharma, and according to his whatever it was mandated for him to go to a Gurukula and then do that Brahmacharya. So he underwent that Brahmacharya. And say later, if we see Bhagavatam, you find several instances where Krishna receives all these sages, etc. so respectfully. Not only sages, everywhere, whatever Krishna does, whatever all the description which we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, he even washes the feet of the rishis. Krishna washes the feet of these rishis. That is something surprising. When I first read Bhagavatam, I was surprised. Lord Krishna, he is Avatara, he is God himself, and he is still washing the feet of all these munis, etc. Basically to set an example to others. So that is what he is saying. Name Parthasti Kartavyam and Na Anavaptam. Avaptam is apraptam, something which has not been attained by me. There is nothing which has not been attained by me. I have everything because Krishna himself is that cosmic being, he is Avatara, he knows it. The difference between Rama Avatara and Krishna Avatara is Rama does not know that he is an Avatara. Rama, throughout Ramayana, he behaves like a human being only. He says, I am a human being. Even when somebody comes and says, no, you are God, etc., he says, no, I am son of Dasharatha. So Rama does not know, and that is how he also grieves when Sita is abducted. He cries like every ordinary man. Krishna, he knows, and he also says that he is Avatara. So here, na anavaptam, avaptavyam, or something to be obtained. Vartayevacha karmani. But still, I am continuing to do my dharma, continuing to do my work. Vartayevacha karmani means I am continuously engaged in action. Krishna, we know that Krishna, he is continuously engaged in action. And say Mahabharata, the entire Mahabharata war, he was the Sarathi for Arjuna, and as a Sarathi, he was giving all the advice. So why was he doing all the advice? Though Krishna is basically that Lord and who is everything, he is performing actions because he is in that particular role. He is playing the role of a human being. He is in that role, that is what we call upadhi. Upadhi is a technical word. Okay, I will try to avoid lot many technical words. So he has to follow that particular dharma. When he is following that particular dharma, like it is like an actor playing a role. So he has to play that role very well. Whatever role he is in, he has to play that role very well. Suppose a very, very rich man, he is playing the role of a servant. And while playing the role of a servant, he should not behave like in a very, very aggressive posture. He has to function or act like a servant only. So here also, he has to play that role, and so that is why he is doing that dharma. He is following that dharma. So that is what we see in this shloka. And in this context, we can also talk about a particular trend which we see in the modern society. We see particularly in Western countries, there are many people who are saying spiritual but not religious. It is called spiritual but not religious, SBNR. If you just type on the internet, Google search, you will get SBNR. There are so many articles on these SBNRs. So that means there are many people who say we are all spiritual but not religious. So these SBNR types, that spiritual but not religious types, are not much encouraged according to Gita. Gita says, so long as you are in a particular ashrama, if you are a sannyasi, you need not do any, okay, you are exempted, because a sannyasi, his duty is basically to go and propagate dharma. Just propagate means not like a canvassing or evangelism. It is not evangelism. He just goes and then he seeks bhiksha, and when somebody asks, he will tell. If nobody asks, he will not tell. So if the people ask him to tell Ramayana, he will tell Ramayana. If they ask him to, depending on their level, he will tell. So anyway, but here, when you belong to a particular ashrama, when you are a grihastha when you are in grihastha ashrama, we have to do that, we have to follow that. Otherwise, we are setting a bad example to our own people. So that is what Krishna says here. If I do not do action, I will be setting a very, very bad, I will be a very bad role model. In the next shloka, he is going to say, that is 23rd shloka, Yadi hyaham navarteyam jatu karmanyatandritaha mama vartmanuvartante manushya partha sarvashah. So Krishna is saying, Yadi hyaham navarteya. There are two pathan, there is a pathantaram also. It is varteya also is there and varteyam also is there. Grammar, I will not go into grammar. Varteya is one particular tense and varteyam is another tense. Yadi hyaham na varteya jatu karmanyatandritaha. If I don't engage myself in that action in a very, very meticulous manner, atandritaha. Tandra means laziness. Tandra is something like drowsiness, nidra, laziness. Tandritaha means somebody who is lazy. Atandritaha means somebody who is not lazy, who is very, very alert, in a very, very alert manner and in a very meticulous manner. A person who is performing his duties in a very alert, meticulous manner. If I don't do my work in a very meticulous manner, according to Dharma, of course, Dharma Shastra, it tells so many things in a very, very meticulous way. When a guest comes, how you have to receive the guest, how you have to see him off. It is like etiquette and manners. You see, nowadays also we have got books like etiquette and manners. And particularly when you are undergoing some training in officers training college, OTC as they call it. In that officers training, there are so many rules there, etiquette, about the etiquette, conduct, how a person has to greet his senior and how a person has to treat his junior and how he has to behave himself in various situations. So all these things, that is etiquette and manners, they are taught to everybody. So here also, this Dharma Shastra is somewhat similar to that. Dharma Shastra is somewhat similar and in a slightly different context, also covers other different contexts. In Dharma Shastra also says, okay, you will get punyam. The etiquette and manners, it simply says, this is how you have to receive your guest. Dharma Shastra adds one more small point. When some elderly man comes, you have to get up and receive. So then you will, if you don't do that, you will get some papam. There are certain negative marks for that. So Dharma Shastra adds this element of punyam and papam for various activities which can be brought under what is called etiquette and manners. So he says, Yadi hyaham navarteyam mama vartma anuvartante manushya partha sarvashah. So manushya, all the people, they will follow me. All the people, they will follow me. Then here, of course, we may have a question. Is Krishna a jnani or not? Nobody can say Krishna is not a jnani. Krishna is a jnani. So as I said, jnani also can do work. Jnani and karma are not two incompatible things. Sannyasi and karma can be incompatible things, but jnani and karma need not be incompatible things, because Krishna has earlier given the example of King Janaka, etc. King Janaka was a man who was a king, he was an enlightened king, but still he was performing all his royal duties. Krishna is also in the same boat. Krishna also is saying, Mama Vartma. Vartma means my path. Whatever I do, Mama Vartma, Anuvartante Manushya Partha Sarvashah. So, for a jnani sannyasi, we have to follow this particular point, one important point. For a jnani sannyasi, or rather for a sannyasi who is a jnani, karma is not obligatory. But for a jnani grihastha, karma is obligatory. That is, he has to perform his karma, so that he will be a role model for others and he is discharging his duty, he is playing his role as a Grihastha. So, that role has to be, role play has to be correctly done. So, we will continue tomorrow. Harihi Om Tat Sat.